Hi, it's Stephanie Greenfield. I'm on my way to meet the king of costume jewelry, Kenneth J. Lane, in his fabulous townhouse, one of the only remaining mansions on Park Avenue. He's going to tell us about style, truly defines chic for us. I can't wait. I've been dying to meet this man.
He's been called a genius, a sorcerer, and the king of costume jewelry. One thing is clear, the name Kenneth J. Lane is synonymous with glamour. Since bursting onto the scene in the 1960s, Kenneth has been creating faux jewelry that is more exotic and fantastic than the real thing. Kenneth is equally known for the exotic life he leads, traveling the globe and mixing with socialites, celebrities, and royalty. His home is a historic Stamford White mansion in Manhattan. Kenneth J. Lane is truly as unique and special as one of his incredible creations.
We are sitting here with the king, and we're actually sitting in the king's castle. But the difference is, with this king, if he were to be wearing a crown, he would have designed it. So you are all blessed to be able to meet Kenneth J. Lane. I'm so happy to see you this morning. Thank you for allowing us in your gorgeous home.
I'm very happy that you're here. I'm the king of what country?
You must not read your own press.
It's more important that other people read it.
Oh, good, good. This is starting off just the way I like it. Time magazine dubbed you as the undisputed king of costume jewelry. So, I mean, I think that's quite an honor. It's quite a title.
I think it's great because if you're called the undisputed, a lot of people are going to dispute it.
You were on the ears, on the fingers, on the necks of the most fabulous women on planet Earth.
True, and there are still some fabulous ladies left in New York and the world, but they're never shown anymore.
Why do you think that is?
They've been supplanted by the celebrity world.
Well, let's compare, the women that really helped in the journey of making your jewelry iconic, because they're icons themselves. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, Audrey Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor. And now we have the modern day, true doyens, as we call them now, Sarah Jessica Parker, Nicole Kidman, Madonna. So
You're taking the top of the barrel, too.
Well, I think, it's easier for people to relate, to iconic women, to understand, what was and what is. And there are parallels and differences.
There are great differences. I mean, I don't know these ladies. Mm-hmm. I've met some of them, but Elizabeth Taylor I did know well, and she was a great character. She was a great personality. Audrey Hepburn was a great friend of mine, and the world was in love with her. I'm not sure the world is in love with any of these other people you mentioned.
Well,
the press might be.
I think that is so well put.
In the olden days, as I say, I'm not sure Audrey Hepburn had a press agent. If she had a press agent, it was sort of to keep her out of the papers.
What was the most beautiful piece of jewelry she ever wore? Yours or someone else's, Audrey Hepburn?
One thing she wore, which gave me great pleasure, is when she did the Black Glamour ad and insisted that the money go to UNICEF. She was offered any piece of jewelry in New York to wear on her ears, and she could have had Harry Winston, Van Cleef, Cartier, and she said, "No, I want Kenny Lane." So,
does it get? I have chills. Does it get better than that?
No, it doesn't really.
It doesn't. You don't have a business. You have an empire. I mean, you are sold in every single country on planet Earth.
Just about, yeah.
So how have you done it?
I mean, I was lucky at the beginning. You see, when I started doing costume jewelry, there was no fashionable costume jewelry, really. And I was lucky enough to know a lot of the very attractive women in New York, who were my age then. Some of them have wonderful vintage collections of mine now.
And they also had, real jewelry, some of the finest jewelry, that's now on auction for millions of dollars.
The Duchess of Windsor, for instance. She had one of the greatest collections of precious jewelry in the world. And when she started buying my stuff, I think it made her feel younger, more with it. In her 1967, I think it is, Christmas card, she's wearing a necklace of mine. And the last picture of her and the Duke in Vogue magazine, she was wearing a necklace and earrings of mine.
That's an endorsement.
That was a great endorsement.
Let's talk a little about Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, because I know that you didn't only love her as a woman who wore your jewelry, but really
She was a
about
great woman.
what she represented, about true
was-
style.
She was style. She was she had a stylish mind, and she had a lot of my jewelry. She the auction at Sotheby's of her stuff. My jewelry brought about $1 million. Can you believe it? A necklace I did for Jackie went for $90,500.
Well, what does that say about her, and what does that say about your jewelry? Talk about the inauguration necklace and how much business was done off that necklace. That one item today, and you had Barbara Bush's pearls, you had Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis's jewelry.
Yeah, well, I think every first lady that can up to and through Jackie has worn my stuff. Nancy Reagan had a lot of my things. In fact, she asked me if I would reproduce some things that she has for the gift shop of the Reagan Library in California.
When Jacqueline Kennedy, I'm going to paraphrase, talked about style, that it's not about money, it's not about expense, it's about, your own personal individuality, your own personal flair. What do you think truly defines style?
Well, I think style is not only about what a woman has on her back. I think some of it has to do with her mind. If a woman feels stylish, not stylish, a woman doesn't say, "Oh, I feel stylish today." If she does, she's in trouble. The women of great style, they didn't only have style and the way they looked. It was the way they lived. It was their attitude towards life, their friendships.
But you've had so many quotes about glamour, about what truly being chic is.
Well, there's all kinds of style, though. There's elegance, which is one thing. There's chic, which is different than elegance. And there's one's own style. Elizabeth Taylor has her own style. I wouldn't say she's elegant or chic, but God knows she has her own style. I'll tell you a quick story. There was a party in Venice on Onassis' boat, the Christina, and all the girls on the boat were marvelous. They were all properly dressed in either a white top and blue pants or blue top and white pants. And Liz Taylor came on board, and she was wearing a white lace dress, white lace stockings, white lace Oxford shoes with white satin bows, and a handbag of white straw with white flowers on the top. Great big thing. And some diamonds. Well, she looked absolutely unlike anybody else. However, nobody could look at anyone else.
Do you think she did it on purpose? She knew how to get everyone to look at her?
Of course. Yeah,
What a smart lady.
I mean, that was, you don't put all of that stuff on par chance.
Yeah. But you see, that to me,
That's style.
that's style.
Yeah, it's a different kind of style. It's a different meaning of the word.
And how do you think that compares to some of the women today?
Well, I mean, I think Lady Gaga has style. Whether you like it or not, it's style.
That's so funny that you said her, because she immediately, when I was thinking of a parallel, that kind of shock value compared to look at me.
Notice me.
Notice me.
Notice me.
Notice
And don't
me.
forget me. I mean, Madonna at her worst has style.
Oh, absolutely,
You
because
know
you
what I
never forget her.
No,
You
at
can
her
imitate
worst,
her.
but not at her best. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If she dressed normally,
With everybody I'm talking to, I love to pull out those things that are going to stick in my head and I'm going to use. And I could say, my new friend Kenny Lane told me, it's really about noticing someone.
Well-
And that's so well put.
well, that's not what style is about, really, but that is a kind of style. It's not elegance, it's not chic, because there's a big difference. And then there's a wonderful French word, chien. It's kind of being really well put together, everything being perfect, the right Hermes bag, the right alligator shoe, you know what I mean.
Who would you describe having good chien now?
It's not a word that really applies anymore. The handbag was made with the same material as the dress and the coat and the
shoe.
shoes and the
sweets.
Yeah, and it was all very expensive and it all smelled very good.
And I agree. But I do think there are women today that try to emulate, the Dianes that, dressed, top to toe that way. But I think it's more effortful than effortless.
Occasionally, I'll be walking down the street and I'll see a lady perhaps in her 80s or 90s. Maybe she has a cane, but she's beautifully put together, and I'll say, how chic you are.
I know, I get
and
chills
they
from
smile,
those women. So let's go back now to the jewelry.
One of the first things I ever did when I started doing bracelets were snake bracelets, covering bracelets with cobra skin or various snakes and more snakes and more snakes.
And cobras and starfish and all of these elements of nature. Now, is it the beautiful women that inspire you? Is it places that you've gone? Where do you draw most of your inspirations from?
Well, the snake is the oldest motif practically in jewelry. If you go back to Egyptian jewelry, pharaonic Egyptian, 2000 BC, you could find in a museum a snake bracelet.
I couldn't wait. I mean, I put on my snake jewelry from you almost
You only have one snake.
3 times. Only today. But you don't know what I have sitting at home. This is one of my obsessions, this snake ring. I have it in turquoise, I have it in topaz, and I think it's such an iconic, element of nature.
Do you know who else was obsessed by the snake?
Tell me.
Eve. If it wasn't for the snake, we wouldn't be here today.
I know.
I mean, we might be here, but we wouldn't be wearing
And we're
clothes.
not talking about Yves Saint Laurent. We're
No.
talking about Adam and Eve.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. I mean, thank God for the snake. I mean, the fashion industry should really thank God for the snake.
You don't design a collection. You're not about, it's, spring 2011. You make pieces as you feel it.
I have fun. To me, it's in a funny way, it's like a hobby. And if a lady wants a turquoise necklace with diamonds around it in January, that's great. I started doing turquoise when I started, and buyers say, but that's summer. I said, no, it isn't.
And you do the best turquoise because it's so soft. It's not that neon. It's the perfect soft
Gem,
turquoise.
Persian turquoise, of course.
What is your favorite period to design jewelry inspired by?
Well, I think Art Deco jewelry. I think that it, first of all, was sexy.
Yeah.
If you look at the films from the 30s,
Timelessly sexy.
it was new. In the 19th century, they were copying the 18th century and the 17th century. But then came Art Deco, and that really took the lid off.
And I think when you talk about exciting Art Deco jewelry, especially your inspirations from Art Deco, I mean, my eye, I'm trying to look
Here's
at
the new
you.
bracelet.
Is this for me?
It's for you.
Okay.
You always wear the hinge on the inside.
Oh, hinge on the inside. I should know that, being a retailer for 15 years. But that's a tip.
Yep.
How gorgeous is this?
Yeah, and it's, it's Art Deco could have been done in 1929 or something.
But what's so interesting here, it's not about, as you say, real or faux. If you didn't know real, you wouldn't be able to make something so magnificent in faux.
Yeah, and if the lights are right, and if
The lady is right.
If a rich lady was wearing this, everybody would think it was real. Then I do sort of fantasy Art Deco, which is fun.
You can hang this on a door. You could put this in a frame.
Yeah.
You could wear it with a T-shirt.
Oh, you could definitely wear it with
You
a
could wear it
t-shirt.
with a gown.
Yeah.
I mean, this to me,
It's fun.
if I saw this on the red carpet, this is where I'd hear the paparazzi go click, click, click. This is a confident woman. You could see
Absolutely.
Sarah Jessica Parker wearing this.
Absolutely,
She wears
yeah.
a lot of your things.
And she wore an awful lot of my stuff in Sex and the City.
And what was the reaction to that? Did you get a ton of emails?
A lot. We were on the cover, one necklace, a big butterfly was on the cover of Time.
So let's talk about imitation for a minute, because you have a great quote about originality. Shall I tell you?
Please.
You talked about originality, and you said it was original from someone, somewhere. And I love that, because there's imitation, but imitation is truly the best form of flattery as long as it's not copied.
Well,
It's inspired by.
of course, I'm inspired by all the great jewelers.
But attributing the fact that it was original to someone somewhere is very secure.
I was a friend of Fulco de Vidura, who was one of the great jewelers of
Oh, my.
the 20th century, and the people who do Vidura now gave a lunch for me a few months ago. It's quite funny, because they had my things that were inspired Vidura in their cases with their precious jewelry.
But I think that's fantastic because, you pay that homage. I think it all goes back to confidence and security and, really understanding, the history of fashion and how we evolve and move forward.
Unfortunately, fortunately for me perhaps, but unfortunately for them, the people who, basically the people who make costume jewelry, aren't very interested in the background of precious jewelry. I'm not sure they really have seen very much Vidura or have studied it, or Schlumberger, or the early Art Deco.
Your true inspirations.
Yeah, which was a marvelous period.
Now, how different do you think this journey would have been today for someone?
Today, one could not ship a store without a whole computer network going. Then I was writing, when I started, within a month I was selling every store in Manhattan, on Fifth Avenue.
So you have a line on QVC. You've repeatedly, not a one-hit wonder, sold over $1 million in an hour, repeatedly. What do you think about how people shop today? Take a site like Gilt, where you have a very strong business and a big following. How is that driving the way the consumer shops and spends, in your opinion?
When I started my business, of course, that was before television sales like QVC, before all the .com, which is a very big business today.
And you are on the best websites out there. You're on Gilt, you're on Net-a-Porter. You are on Neiman Marcus. You're on all the best websites.
Yeah, and stores now are doing sometimes a bigger business on their websites than they are over the counter.
And Gilt, you have an unbelievable business with. Do you feel it's a
I
whole
have
new
no
customer base? It's guilt-free.
Oh,
and
I'm
you have no
guilt-free.
guilt. So many generations of women, no pun intended, have a piece of you. They really do. Think about the mother, the daughter, the grandmother. They all have a piece of Kenneth J. Lane, literally.
Girls come to me and show me something that they got from their grandmother.
And something they'll pass on to their granddaughter.
I hope so, yeah, I think so.
Me too. If not, you know what? They could send it my way. When I look around this room, I'm just filled with questions about your life and your travels. So this is truly a stairway to heaven.
I was fortunate that I could rebuild this, because this was all gutted when I bought this. And I was able to use the space, because it's 16 feet high, to make the balcony, and I had the best stairway people do this. What's called a flying staircase with no support underneath.
And 16-foot ceilings in New York, it's unheard of.
Yeah, it's rather rare.
Yeah, that's a privilege. So where are we at this moment?
This is like my study here. You can see it's full of books and magazines, and even Zagat's Guide. And the pictures are Orientalist pictures, which have come from all over the world. They're going to the Metropolitan Museum, by the way, eventually, one day, because I have a room there, Kenneth J. Lane Gallery.
Is anything in there now?
Yeah, there's their own collection, and but these are all going to go there. That's my room. It says Kenneth J. Lane. The cover on those pillows are from Aurangabad in India. They're hand woven. They were dish towels. I think
Really?
they cost about $1 each. Of course,
Once again, style's not about
Yeah.
how much money you spend.
Oh, this was a little Tibetan carpet I got at some junkie shop. These shells are powder horns from India and some Indian beadlery, a lot of Indian stuff on this table.
And you've traveled the world. You've stayed with the best. You've entertained the best. You've really lived. Do you feel lucky?
Well, I feel privileged and lucky. I suppose
That's
luck
so well
comes
put.
into that. But one has to give as well, take, so in a way, my giving to the Metropolitan Museum is a way of sort of a payback to New York that's been so good to me. I don't have children, so the world will be my children.
And also the gorgeous jewelry you've given birth to.
That's not at the Metropolitan yet.
Yet.
Jewelry, like any part of fashion, really, exhibitions are very nice. But jewelry and clothes are meant to wear and to give pleasure to the person who's wearing it. Actually, I'd rather see something on ladies in the street. Something that many women can wear, that I've sold many of to make a lot of women happy, than see one extraordinary piece on one glamorous lady.
So you would rather touch many than just a few.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your life and your
you for
home
coming
and
here.
your story. It was an honor. It was
For
an
me
honor.
too.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
Shocking, but I'm speechless. Spending time with Kenneth J. Lane was truly a moment in time for me. The man, the jewels, the home, the life, the travels, the gift. Perfection. I don't know if I'll ever meet another person like him, but I'm so glad I did.